My name is Jana, and I'm so happy to welcome you to session 5 of our formation series, Respect the Dignity of All, Kids Engaging Racial Equity. Today's song and prayer will be led by Mother Claire Yarborough. Our song is called Set It Right, based on words by Sojourner Truth. She was a Black woman who was born enslaved and fought for freedom, women's rights, and the end of slavery. At the time, slavery was really common, and it was legal. That's a reminder of the ways that laws don't necessarily lead to what's fair for everyone.
Hello everybody, I am Mother Claire Yarborough from St. Michael's and All Angels in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm here to lead you in our opening song, Set It Right. Are you ready? There's great trouble in the land, we're gonna set it right again. There's great trouble in the land, we're gonna set it right again. There's great trouble in the land, we're gonna set it right again. We're gonna set it right again. We're learning who God made us to be. We're gonna set it right again. We're learning who God made us to be. We're gonna set it right again. We're learning who God made us to be. We're gonna set it right again. We're gonna set it right again. We're building beloved community. We're gonna set it right again. We're building beloved community. We're gonna set it right again. We're building beloved community. We're gonna set it right again. We're gonna set it right again. Let us pray our opening prayer. God, I praise you. God, help me to let your love into my heart. God, help me to care for others. God, help me to rest. Amen.
Hi, I'm Sarah from St. Barnabas in Scottsdale. When a person is baptized in our church, they and the whole church make promises. And one of the promises is to strive for justice and peace among all people and respect the dignity of every human being. Through this series, we are learning to respect the dignity of all people and love each other just as Jesus taught us to do. Some weeks we talk about an idea or a question. Other weeks we talk about something from the Bible. And every week we will hear stories. Last week and this week we are talking about how to live with justice and mercy. God calls us to live with justice and mercy in Micah 6:8. He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. So what does this mean? One way we can describe justice is love in action. We can think of mercy as helping someone or something who is in hurt or in danger. We can think of mercy like someone helping you to get a Band-Aid after you trip and fall over a rock and scrape your knee. Justice is moving the rock out of the way so neither you nor anyone else gets hurt by it again. Acting with justice and mercy towards others is part of being a follower of Jesus, also called a disciple. An important part of being a disciple of Jesus is listening to the needs of the people we are trying to help. The last phrase in the verse from Micah says, "Walk humbly with your God." To be humble means we don't need to call attention to ourselves as we work for justice and mercy. Disciples work to lift up others because that is what God calls people to do, not to get praise and glory for their actions. Now we're going to learn about a real-life role model, a teenager who is working for justice and mercy in her community and all around the world. Isra Hirsi, born February 2003, is an American social justice and environmental justice advocate from Minneapolis, Minnesota. This means that Isra speaks out and works to change things for people who need help, which is about social justice, and to make sure that all people have access to a safe and healthy environment, which is about environmental justice. Environment refers to nature. Nature includes plants, animals, air, water, and more. Isra's parents taught her about how problems in our country affect different groups of people. They encouraged her to advocate or stand up for people who are being harmed or hurt, and told her that she could make a difference in the world. At the age of 12, Isra became active in the Black Lives Matter movement, sometimes called BLM. The Black Lives Matter movement was founded in response to police brutality and calls attention to the way Black people in the U.S. experience systematic racism, which means not just people being mean to each other, but systems like schools and legal courts that operate unfairly. BLM works to change those things. Isra also got involved in groups that work to keep people safe from gun violence. In high school, Isra joined her school's environmental club. Before this, environmental justice was not something she had thought much about. She thought the movement was about saving natural places that were far away from where she lived and spent time. BLM and gun violence felt more personal to her. In the club, she learned about how environmental causes affected her directly, too. Environmental justice involves the quality of our air, land, and water, and how these things affect people everywhere. She learned that people have affected the climate, or weather patterns, which is referred to as climate change. Isra learned that climate change and environmental issues such as pollution, or dirty air, and problems with drinking water are hurting people of color and people with very little money the most. Isra knew how to stand up and speak out, so she used her skills to advocate for environmental justice. In 2019, at age 15, she helped start the U.S. Youth Climate Strike and went on to become the executive director or leader of the group. The U.S. Youth Climate Strike is part of a worldwide movement led by kids that works to get government, people who make laws and rules, to quickly make new laws to protect the environment. Isra uses her voice to tell people how problems with the environment are connected to other issues such as race and poverty. Her main goal is to get people of all races involved in the movement and to advocate for people who are most hurt by problems in the environment. Let's watch a short video about Isra. Let's talk about the video. Isra has a number of intersecting identities that she uses to see and understand climate change and how it affects different people. That means that she understands climate change using more than one story. For example, Isra identifies as a person of color, so she understands climate change from the perspective or story of people of color. Isra is also a first-generation U.S. citizen. Her parents were born in different countries. So she understands climate change from the perspective or story of people from other countries. Isra is also able to share her experiences and observations with others who may not be able to see the issue from different perspectives. During this pandemic, we have seen that people are impacted differently based on who they are, as well as what their resources are. For example, a child in a family who has easy access to a computer and internet has had a different experience of learning from home than a child who does not have these resources. Families who are healthy have had different experiences than those who have family members who have health risks. Families who are able to stay at home have had different experiences than those who have had to continue to go to work outside of the home. Some people have lost their jobs or income, and others have not. These are things that are not isolated experiences. A family can have a computer and internet, members with health risks, and someone who has a job that they have to leave their home for, or any combination of those things. There are many different ways in which people have experienced the same pandemic. Pause and discuss the ways you have seen some of these differences and how they affect the experiences of people you know or your own experience.
Food insecurity is when a person does not have the consistent access to quality food needed for their bodies and minds to be fully active and healthy. Food insecurity occurs when an individual or a family makes so little money that they struggle to pay for basic human needs, such as food and shelter. This is a condition called poverty. In the U.S., some common factors that lead to poverty are unemployment, high housing cost, low wages, medical expenses, and low access to assistance. Some groups are at a higher risk of experiencing poverty than others due to systemic social issues such as racism, gender inequality, and climate change. Food insecurity can lead to physical and mental health problems in both children and adults. In children, going hungry can interfere with their ability to grow and learn. Kids who are consistently not getting enough to eat may also exhibit more behavior problems than their peers. Currently in Arizona, 937,300 people are food insecure. 311,390 of those are children. More than 1 in 5 Arizona children live in households that don't have enough food to feed all household members. Donating to a food bank is an example of an act of charity. Charity is when you provide someone with something that they need right now, but that they can't get for themselves, like food. Often, a charity provides a service that the person will likely need again unless something changes in their situation. Charity is good because it helps people get something that they really need right now to live, but it does not solve the problem of why they had this need in the first place. Charity doesn't address the root problem that causes the need. So, we have to combine our acts of charity with work to change the problems that prevented people from meeting their own needs. It's called walking with 2 feet: charity and change. What are things that need to change so that people who are experiencing food insecurity can be able to afford to buy enough food? The idea of solving big problems can feel overwhelming, but the good news is that there are organizations out there that are working to change some of these big root causes of poverty. There are some listed below this video, as well as ways to contribute to food banks. So, we can walk with 2 feet, charity and change. There's also a charity and social justice memory game in your packet. You can play it this week.
Today we learned about examples of people who are working for justice and mercy in their communities and around the world. We are called to work for justice and mercy on behalf of others as disciples of Jesus. We learned that Isra Hirsi is seeking justice by working to change environmental laws and to protect the earth and those affected by climate change. We also learned about walking with 2 feet, charity and change. Our verse from Micah is, "He has told you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God?" In your own words, how do you understand justice, mercy, charity, and change?
Hi again. It's Father Mark from St. Philip's in Tucson. We're going to sing together our closing song. I wonder if you remember. It's called Listen Up, People. Let's sing it together. Listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people all over the land. Worship and justice go hand in hand. Listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people all over the land. Worship and justice go hand in hand. So when you say your prayers, always be aware they're not just words to be humbled at. Help us, O God, to learn to treat each other right. Listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people all over the land. Worship and justice go hand in hand. Listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people, listen up, people all over the land. Worship and justice go hand in hand. And when you sing your songs, sing out loud and strong. Don't just let them be the soundtrack of your soul. Let justice today. I wonder if we can say our closing prayer together. Shall we? The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. Amen.